Hello primary 4. Let's continue in concept 1, adaptation and survival, and let's start together in lesson 2. Previously we said that we have a main concept in this part, which is called adaptation, and adaptation is the character or the change that help the living organism to survive and reproduce in its environment. And today we have some animals. Let's classify these animals or these following pictures according to the environment where they live in. If we say that the polar bear lives in the polar region or in the Arctic region. What about the camel? Yeah, it lives in the desert. What about the penguin? Yeah, in the cold environment or in the polar region. The fennec fox, it has a sandy color, so it lives in the desert. The bull shark, it's a type of sharks, so it lives in ocean. The desert lizard, a type of lizards, but it lives in the desert from its name. What about the octopus? Yeah, this octopus lives in the ocean like this shark. We can see from the picture and from the environment around that. So we have two types of adaptation or two types of changes that the animals do or has, so they can adapt to the environment where they live. We said we have two types. Number one is called structural adaptation, structural or physical adaptation. Structural adaptation, so from its name, the animal has a specific structure or feature inside its body. This feature helps it to survive. But what if I said there is another type which is called behavioral adaptation? Behavioral adaptation. So it depends on the acts or something that the animal do to protect itself from the enemies. So we have two main types of adaptation, structural adaptation or physical adaptation, and we said from its name, structural, so it means the animal has a change in the structure to adapt its environment. Like the blood vessels in the penguin's feet. The feet of the penguin, is it a part of it or something that the animal do? Yeah, it's a part of it. So the feet of the penguin is a part of the penguin. And the adaptation inside it, in the blood vessels, when it wrap around each other, that's called structural adaptation because it's a part of the animal. What if I say the thick fur or the thick white fur of the polar bear? The thick fur, is it a structure found in the animal or something inside the animal? Yeah, that's good. It's not an act. Yeah, it's a part of the animal or a structure inside the animal. So that's called structural adaptation. What about the behavioral adaptation? The behavioral is a change in the behaviors or the acts of a group of animals to adapt its environment. So that's something that the animal do. It's not a structure inside the animal, but it's act or something that the animals do. So if I say that the desert lizard looks for a shaded place or a shadow during the very hot sunny days, so that's something that the lizard does or did, so that's a behavioral adaptation. It's an act or a behavior that the animals do. What about the migration? The migration is the moving of animals from place to another place for searching for food or a place to live in. So it's not a structure inside the animal or it's not a part of the animal. It's something or act that the animal do. So that is a behavioral adaptation. And today we have two main examples. They are the fennec fox and the Arctic fox. And we are going to discuss the habitat or the place where the two foxes live. And we are going also to discuss the behavioral and structural adaptation of the two animals. Number one, if I say the structural adaptation, so that's it's something that found inside the animal, or a structure or a part of the animal, like the tan-colored coat or the sandy-colored fur of the fennec fox. This sandy fur is a part of the animal, so I can say it's a structural adaptation. This coat or this fur can provide the camouflage. If this animal is yellow in color or sandy in color, and then it stands between the sands of the desert, so we cannot see this animal. The animal can hide from enemies, and we call that camouflage. And it also, this color protect it from the very hot sun. And also the fennec fox has extra large ears, as we say in these pictures. Has extra large ears. We say that it's a habitat, it lives in a hot desert, so it's very high temperature. It needs to cool its body by a structure found inside it, which is the large ears. So the large ears can lose the heat to cool the body of the fennec fox. Number three, the special shape of ears that allows excellent hearing to help the fennec fox in hunting. So the shape of the ear helps the fennec fox in hunting. So this is the fennec fox. What about the Arctic fox? The Arctic fox lives in the tundra desert. It's a very, very cold place with a very low temperature, which the temperature below the zero in the winter. So what is the structural adaptation? We are going to speak about structures or parts of the animal. Number one, the white thick fur. White thick fur. This white fur let the animal blend with the white snow around it, so it can hide from enemies and from the preys. Number two, I'm sorry for that. Number two, this fur can change its color. How? In the winter there are some ice or heavy ice on the ground, so it has to be with the white color to hide between the ice. But in the summer this ice melts and the ground will appear in the dark color or in a brown color. So in the summer the Arctic fox changes its color or its color of fur into brown color according to the season. And it also has a short ears and short legs to help it stay warm. We said in the fennec fox the large ear help it to be cool, but the Arctic fox needs to be warm, so the structural adaptation in the Arctic fox is the short ears. Number four, it has a special shape of ears and the shape of ears in the fennec fox to provide it an excellent hearing to be able or to help it in hunting. All these things or all these points are structural adaptation. They are something or structures can be found inside the animal. What about the behavioral adaptation? Behavioral adaptation, it's an act or something that the animal do or does. We can say that if the fennec fox is panting like the dog, where it takes up about 70 breaths per minute to cool its body, so this breathing or this panting cool its body. So that's adaptation, to be adapted to the very hot temperature in the desert. But that's an act. How can this animal do this panting? It put its tongue out the mouth, then starts to breathe quickly like the dogs. That's called the panting. Also the fennec fox lives in the burrows, so it can get a shadow place or a shaded places, and it's a very cool places, so it can protect itself from the very high temperature. And it also eats different types of food like fruits roots of the plant and even the leftovers or the parts that left from another animal's prey. What about the Arctic fox? What is the behavioral adaptation of Arctic fox? The Arctic fox behavioral adaptation, so we can say it's something that the Arctic fox do. It's a behavior. So it lives in the burrows to stay warm or to hide from the cold environment. It also eats many things or many types of insects, fruits, plant roots, and even the leftovers from the prey of other animals.